One more story, then I've got to go to the break.
All right.
I asked Bobby. Bobby used to room with Roy Orbison, who was his boss at the time. He played in Roy's band. And I asked you if you would share a Roy Orbison story. And I like the one you picked out.
Well, there's a lot of Roy Orbison stories. He was a great guy. But this was in Minneapolis, Minnesota. We had played a show one night, and it was like a $1 admission to see Roy, and there were thousands of people. So the guy that booked Roy, the promoter, paid him in cash, and he gave him 2 big grocery sacks full of money. And it was mostly $1 bills, but it looked like $1 million. So the next morning, Roy called all of us all the guys in the band called us into the room and said, we need to lay all this money out and get the 1s in the right stacks and 5s and count all this stuff and make sure it's all here. So we're in there. We got money laid all over this room. Like I said, it looks like $1 million in there. What we didn't know was a bank was robbed the day before in Minneapolis. True story. And we're in there with all this money just cooking, you know, and all of a sudden there's a knock at the door. And it was the maid, and she kind of opened the door, and we said, well, we'll be out in a few minutes. But she kind of looked in and closed the door. She went and told the guy at the desk. He called the FBI. Next thing I know, there's a knock at the door. I open the door, and there's 4 guys standing there like this, you know, with a card saying, you know, said, we're with the FBI. Can we come in? I said, sure. And he walks in, and there's money on lamps and on the floor and across the, you know, and they were ready to just run us in. And one of them said, aren't you Roy Orbison? He said, yeah, what's the problem? They said, well, we heard that somebody was in here with about $1 million laying around, and we had a bank robbed yesterday, and we figured we had finally located him. You know, they thought we were the bank robbers. But
well, you always looked a little suspicious to me. On tonight's show.